Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another Brawl Stars video. Today I'm going to help you guys get better with Surge. A lot of the people are starting to get him from the Brawl Pass. It's about that time in the season, so here are the tips I've learned from playing with him, and I'll come out with a more nuanced, advanced guide in the near future, but these tips are just going to be helpful for pretty much everyone. So first, I really want to get talking about his upgrades. So similar to Terra, you really want to immediately focus on just getting that first super at the start of any game, because you're basically the slowest brawler in the game next to 8-bit at first, but once you do use that first super and get that first upgrade, you are one of the fastest brawlers in the game, and you can catch up to pretty much anyone if you chase them down, and that is so helpful for getting more shots and building up your future supers if you can just track down anyone you want. So if you're in a 3v3 mode, you really want to focus on getting that super, and if you die, well, it doesn't really matter too much because you're not upgraded at all, so you're not wasting any supers by doing it. So if you just hit 3 shots, which is how much you need to charge up your super, and then you die, who cares? You can just use it right when you spawn again. You're not going to lose it. So that should be your first priority. But then once you use your first super, you really have to focus on staying alive. Pretty obvious, but it's easier said than done. So since you're able to catch up to pretty much any brawler in the game, you basically want to chase people down who you think you can take on and just get as many attacks as possible and charge up future supers, so that way you can get more and more aggressive. So after you've used that second upgrade and you get the boosted range on top of the boosted speed, you're going to start outranging a lot of brawlers in the game, so you can stay back farther. So that first upgrade is just really helpful at getting more supers. The second upgrade is super helpful at staying alive, and then finally that last upgrade just boosts your damage by an insane amount if you have the star power, of course. If you don't have the star power, then it sometimes increases your damage, but a lot of times it doesn't. But once you are at that max level, just keep focusing on staying alive. Even though you can be a bit more aggressive since you have more offensive power, it's a pretty big loss if you do die. So just use those upgrades you've got, use them to your advantage because they help you stay alive longer, and focus on just not dying, healing up whenever you get shot, and that's going to win you some games. Now, if you're ever facing a melee brawler in the middle of a match, someone at close range like El Primo or Jackie, if you use your super directly on top of them, it's going to buy you just enough time to get out of their range because they're going to be pushed back and stunned briefly while they're flying backwards. So you're going to be able to just get out of their range, and it's going to let you stay alive in a lot of different situations unless they have boosted speed for one reason or another, or unless they're BB or Rosa and have a ridiculously large range for no reason. But this interaction makes it a lot safer to go and just aggress on other melee brawlers as long as you have your super charged up, because you get a couple of free shots off on them while they're being pushed back, and you can just push yourself out of their range if they manage to get on top of you. And another trick you can use with your super is if you're facing a Frank and he has his stunning super ready and he uses it, just use your own super right when he uses his super, and you will be able to completely jump over that wave of stunning. And that is a huge advantage because with every other brawler in the game, you either have to use some gadget or whatever to ignore it, but most of the time you just have to completely walk away from the area of effect of that super. This is like the only super that gives you enough time to fully jump over the super while still staying directly in front of Frank and able to get right back into attacking him right after he uses it. And it's super useful in Brawl Ball because a lot of times Frank is a huge win condition for the other team, and if he gets all 3 of your teammates locked up near the goal and he has a super, there's not much you can do. There's nowhere you can go. But if you're using Surge's super, that gives you another way to avoid Frank's stunning and still stay right in the middle of the goal and ready to take the ball if they ever tried to score on you. Now, just in general, whenever you're in the middle of battle and you get your super, most of the time you don't want to use it immediately if you're not either on top of someone so you can get that pushback effect, or you're not fully away out of range of them or behind cover. If you're in that weird medium point, then whenever you use it, you're just making a huge vulnerability for yourself because your opponents will know exactly where you're going to land, and it's going to give them a bit of time to aim their attacks, and you're going to take a lot of damage. So either use it directly on top of them to get that pushback effect and be able to run away, or you want to wait until you have killed them or you are disengaging, and then you can just run away. Once you're out of their range, then you can use your super. And you always want to use your super before you start healing after the end of any battle. You want to use it right after you get out of their range as soon as possible, because you don't want to delay your healing, because using your super is using an attack, and so it's going to prevent you from being healed. But if you use your super immediately when you get out of their range, you're going to be able to start your healing and then get back into battle right before you're at full health. And this is better than healing first and then using your super, because you're going to have to wait until you're at full health again before you use your super, and that wastes a lot of time, because if you use your super before healing, while you're healing, you can get back into battle and continue to dodge their shots, and you'll still be healing. So by doing that, that saves a lot more time than it is by doing your healing before the super. Now, this is a bit of a specific tip, but I did encounter this quite a bit when I was first pushing Surge. So in Showdown, if you don't have Surge's star power, which is probably a lot of you right now, if you did not save up a lot of brawl boxes to get him up to max, then a lot of times you want to save your third super. You don't want to fully upgrade your Surge, because all it does is increase the amount of split energy orbs or whatever that come out of your main attack, and it doesn't really increase the amount of normal damage you're doing to any single opponent, and that's all you're going to be facing in Showdown. So that extra amount of split doesn't really help you too much when you don't have the star power, of course, because if you do have the star power, then you can deal damage when you're not hitting them. So that's super useful to get that third upgrade if you do have the star power. But if you don't, and you're in Showdown, a lot of times I just found myself saving that third super, so that way I would have it ready if anyone tried to pop out and surprise me. I would have that jump ready to push them back and to deal that extra damage and buy me a bit of time. So if you don't need that next upgrade, if you don't think you're gonna need that next upgrade in any given match, it's better to just save it and use it for its damage capabilities and pushback rather than the actual upgrades. And finally, whenever you're in a close range 1v1 against another Surge, which is another thing you'll find quite often as you're pushing up Surge in the low trophy ranges, always wait for them to use their super on you first. This is if you're close range and you'll actually hit them with the pushback, because you want to wait for them to use their super, because when they're in the air, you want to use yours by reacting to see when they're doing their super, so that way you'll be up in the air when they hit the ground. So that means you're not going to take damage and you're not going to get pushed back, but they are going to be. So that's going to give you a huge advantage in that mirror matchup, and it's almost always going to let you win unless they just have a ton more power Qs than you. But that is only in Showdown. Pretty much all the rest of the tips apply in 3v3s and Showdown. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below if it was. And like I said, I'm going to be posting a more in-depth Surge guide maybe in the near future, more about the nuances of his attacks, how to aim with him. So make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, go into your settings, and make sure you have notifications enabled so you'll know whenever I post that video. But that's all for today, guys. So see you later.